Gina DeLuca here. All right, so today I have a whole bunch of colors. Gonna be playing around with a bunch of this little piggy pigments and the TriArt Liquid Mirror. I have been loving the results I've been getting with this. Let me show you the last painting. So this was the moving straight pour. I don't know if you can see how much flash that liquid mirror has. This is not varnished yet, but I finally got some of that Persephone to show up. That's going to be beautiful once it's varnished, but I cannot wait to see what this liquid mirror looks like varnished. It is crazy blingy. So that's one of the paints that we're using. And then I have the this little piggy pigments in Mermaid, Zimzelen, Cottontail, and Crescendo. They have been mixed with, I put some of the JoSonja gloss varnish in the bottom of my cup. Add the pigment while wearing a mask. Very, very, very important. Do not skip the mask. Once that stuff gets in your lungs, it's not coming out. So don't let it get in there. Mix the pigment with the JoSonja, and then I've added some golden regular gel matte to that to make it thick, about the consistency of a tube paint. And then I add Floetrol to that. It's a pretty thick mix when I'm adding that stuff, so I probably do 3 to 1 of the 3 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint. And then this color is a mix of Amsterdam Acrylic and Turquoise Blue and Payne's Gray, and it makes just this really beautiful stormy blue. Love this color. Very happy with how this color turned out. That paint has been mixed 1 part paint, 2 parts Floetrol, and then I thin with water until I get the consistency that I am looking for, which is, this is about a 2 on my consistency scale. It is making a mound, but it disappears quickly. And it's making a nice thin, even stream off of my stick. If it gets thick and then thin, then that means your consistency is inconsistent and you need to keep mixing. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards, and each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube that gives you all of the information that you need, the exact paint, brand, color, consistency, the technique, all of the things that I can't fit onto a card. This is the picture of the painting in this particular video. This box contains a tip for this technique, and this down here is the color palette that was used in this painting. And then these 2 boxes can be used as the basis of a 2-color palette, or you can build off of those colors. And there are 8 bonus color palette cards. Each one has 5 color palettes. You can use all of the colors or just some of the colors. Mix and match the bonus color palette cards with the technique cards, and you have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These cards are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also at amazon.com. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is put some of my background slash base coat color. That was, don't know why that happened. I am going to have to put some of this down because there's too much in my cup. That was a boo-boo. So I'm doing about 2 ounces in the cup. I did a weird flick of my wrist and then put too much in. So this paint is going to be the background when I'm doing a straight pour. I have the background and I have the cells, and this is the background. And I use the same color for my base coat as my background, so that if I wind up with tiny cells that make their way through my poured paint, it is a color that is in the painting and it matches and it doesn't stand out. If there was no white in this painting and I used a white background or a white base coat and little teeny tiny white cells were to pop up through my painting, that would drive me crazy. And you'll notice that I have already covered my edges. The reason that I do that is because I am using a pretty thin mix and I am using Floetrol. That combination is not fantastic for the coverage of the sides of my paintings. So if I cover it first, if I just paint it, I just put it on with a brush, it takes me like less than 2 minutes. And that will save me from having to touch up the sides later or force me or a buyer to put it in a frame. And another reason to use the same color base coat as I do background color is because it gives me the option. Oh, sorry, my AC is kicking on. I forgot to turn that off. That was a squirrel. No, I forgot what I was saying. The reason, what was I talking about? Life with ADHD. Oh, so I can have negative space if I want, and it's going to blend perfectly with my poured painting because my background is the same color. And also another reason to cover my edges first, especially when I'm doing a custom blended color like this. If I have to touch it up later, then I have to figure out the exact blend of colors that I used, and that's kind of a pain in the booty. So let's pop the bubbles. Oh, burning 2 times, lit on the first try. Look at that. The reason I put some of this paint in the cup first is because I sometimes will put too much down on the canvas for my base coat and then I don't have enough for my cup. So this is just a good way to avoid that, troubleshoot before there's trouble. All right, so I am going to start with the Cottontail. Always check your consistency before pouring. The sauce may thicken upon standing. I'm going to pour from up high and allow that to sink a bit. Not doing the whole cup because I want them all to fit in this cup. Now for the Zimzelen. And for the Mermaid, Crescendo, and the order that I put these paints in, I like for the first color in the cup and the last color in the cup to have the most contrast. And now for, this is going to be way too much paint. All right, and I'm just going to take a little bit of my base coat slash background and go over the top here real quick. All right, I have a little bit of cell action going on in the cup. That's always a good sign. And I am going to wipe the strip off the side, doing that first. And I'm going to do a moving straight pour, kind of give it a wiggle as I'm pouring. That has given me some really cool patterns in previous paintings. Hopefully some of that white made it down to the bottom. That was a lot of paint in this cup. I'm gonna come back up the center. Oh yeah, here comes some white. And whatever comes out of the cup last very, very often winds up becoming the focal point. So I try to be very mindful of what kind of pattern I am creating at the very end of my pour. Woo-wee, okay. I don't breathe when I get to the end there. So I got a funky little thing going on there. We'll see what that winds up looking like. Got some nice cells coming up in here. This is the mirrored paint. It's beautiful. Obviously I have too much paint on my canvas because it's already spilling off the sides, but I am happy so far with how much of each paint is showing up. Hopefully I get to keep that, and I will have some cells popping up. This liquid mirror makes beautiful cells. It kind of gives a cloud pour type effect, but it's super blingy, whereas most cloud pours are very, very matte. So it gives a very interesting effect, and I have not really been able to get this kind of effect from any silvers that I've found. So as I let this sit, cells develop, and because the matte paints have a hydrophobic effect when you use them with a glossier paint, those cells are going to grow. And if I allow them to grow before I tilt and stretch, then I will get bigger cells, and I will get those juicy, bolder cells that have a very 3D effect. Another tip, when you are lighting your torch, don't be pointing at your canvas. Point it away from your canvas, because it will, it can scorch your canvas. All right, got some great cells going on in here. Sometimes the coolest stuff happens on the very edge of the painting, or the very edge of the puddle, like here. So that's why I like to use a color that's in the painting. I could, if I wanted to, leave this as negative space and keep all of that cool stuff, but I want to stretch it out, so I'm not going to do that. Also, there's a lot of paint on this canvas, so it must be tilted. All right, I think I'm almost ready to give this a tilt. no shortage of cells on this one. The way the blue and the, I guess that's a Zimzelen maybe there. The way that's blending together is super cool. The Crescendo is there. All right, now the million-dollar question is, which direction do I tilt first? So I think I'm going to tilt this way because I want this to stretch out as much as I can get it. Here we are. All right, I am going to give this a tilt in this direction. I'm going to come back. Come back. All right, now I'm going to do the same over here. Actually, let me recenter a little bit before I do that. I'm using the weight of the paint to push this around, and the way to tell where the weight of your paint is where it is moving the fastest. All right. Doing my best to keep that centered. It went a little off. That's okay. I could make it more centered if I tilted this off here. I don't know if I want to do that. Do I? Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah, okay. There we go. Composition is important. It'll drive me crazy if I don't like it. And now we do the slow crawl to the other side. Patience, patience, patience. This will help you keep control of your composition much better. Ooh, come back, come back, come back. Again, bringing the weight of the paint back to center before changing directions. I'm going to try to not lose that. Got the bit of it. I was trying to keep this band right there. All right. Now I'm just going to adjust the composition a bit. Just a hair more, come on. I have to tilt some of this paint off, like, you know, it's really pretty and I hate to lose any of this paint. Ugh, that was a lot of wasted paint. I don't normally waste this much paint, please don't yell at me. I measured poorly today. I will scrape up that paint and put it in a cup and use it some other time. It's not totally wasted. All right. Okay, I'm going to let this sit and do what it's going to do. Might get more cells popping up. We'll see. But I think this is going to be very pretty when it's dry. All right, back in a few. Okay, here it is. I did scrape up the paint that I could and put it in a cup so nobody come at me. I'll be using it in a painting later on. You can see on some of these cells, if I can get in there, how the Crescendo has kind of mixed in with these cells. This is going to be very cool looking once it's dry. But you can see how those pigments have blended with that liquid mirror. How awesome that is going to be when it is dried and varnished. Super excited how this one turned out. So hard to capture the shimmer. And something else to take note of is when you add Floetrol to these pigments, Floetrol has a very milky appearance, and it does make the pigments appear kind of dull. But once they are dry, the Floetrol is clear, and then you get the full glory of these pigments. But there it is. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe. All that good stuff. Leave a comment. Help me get back in that algorithm. Do check out the description box below for links to my PayPal tip jar if you feel so inclined, my website where you can find my art and music and the fluid art inspiration cards for sale. You'll also find links to my affiliates, Fluid Art Company being one of them, and that is where you get almost all of the products that I've used today. The pigments, the liquid mirror, the Amsterdam paints, JoSonja can all be gotten at Fluid Art Company. And there's other affiliate links in there as well, and coupon codes. Also, in the description box, you'll find the link to our Facebook group. Go make some art. Join us there. Post your masterpieces, ask your questions, get some inspiration. A good time is had by most. It is the internet after all. And I think that's it for me for today. Yeah, I'm happy with this piece. Kind of stormy, groovy. All right, that's it for me. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Now go make some art.